right, good evening. Good evening, good evening. How y'all doing tonight? Scrubbed lunch at Starbase Center there in Texas. So there won't be any interruptions for that. Hi, Eric, Jeff, Paul, Quasor. Good to see you all this evening, and whomever else is lurking in the shadows of the interwebs. Going to start out with a good rack of coughing, because that's how things roll here. Had a bunch of stuff I want to cover tonight. I forgot a few things in the past couple weeks, so I made a list. I really need to do that. Hardware, good to see you. Thanks for coming. Panda be lurking. All right. Is it one of those really cool red pandas? Those guys are so cool. So, Royvik, how come? Reedvik, daggone it, I'll get it. Get close anyway. I'm going to keep trying. Mess it up every night till I get it. But hey. So let me go through a few things, and Jack, welcome. Good to see you. We're going to hop into it because, like I said, there's a bunch of stuff on the list. Actually, that whole big section. This whole big section here in the middle is one topic. So, and I don't know how, depending on how I feel when we get there. Depends on how much time we'll actually spend on that. So anyway, let's jump into it. Take a look at what was in the jam, and so for that we will go over to the DAW, and so here we go. Track one. Let me get over there. Track one is just a drone thing in Useless Giant Pandas. All the pandas are really cool. I love to watch them play. So let me dump this loop here that's going on the second track for the moment. And so our drone tonight provided by Drift. And Drift comes with, it's an internal synth to Ableton Live. And that whole track really is just doing, or almost all of it is, included with Ableton Live versions, or also otherwise free. We've got the Drift synth, Echo, and then of course followed that up with Valhalla Supermassive. So we just get this basic bass drone going there. Hold things down at the bottom. Second track, Pigments, is up there with one of my own patches. And that's doing this thing. Whoops. And I've got this wrapped in complete control, just so it shows up well on the controller if I want to play with stuff. Pad Crystal Inquire is one of my own. That's the one that's providing that, and I think that was up an octave or two higher in the actual mix. So I think that's a nice sound. Makes use of the new modal engine in Pigments, and so also eats up a chunk of processor. But what the heck, it sounds good. And then next, holding up some random stuff, is a Vital patch that I did called Roll the Dice. And what this patch, we talked about this patch a couple 3 weeks ago. But basically, every note I play on this randomizes all kinds of things. So I've got four random LFOs. Looks like modulating what 14 different 14 different destinations, plus the three of the regular LFOs and two envelopes. So a lot of stuff, banging stuff around in this. And when you hit that with a sequence, let's see, that gets interesting. I think. What's it doing? All right, it's not going to play well for me, so stop that. Oh, I know why, because there wasn't anything in there. So I tried to just launch into an empty cell. So anyway, that's okay. It did it was just doing kind of a little pattern. We also had the first of three multi-poly native tracks, and again, all my own patches. And it does occasional unexpected things. And I make use of poly aftertouch with this one. So there's that one. Also, the second multi-poly track here is this one. Oh, actually, it's the same patch again. I just used it in a different way, and I modified a couple of parameters here and there. Yeah, I'm switching back and forth from D minor to D Dorian just for fun, because you know that's kind of how I roll too. So we had that one, and then the third of the multi-poly patches is yet another original patch. Keeps coming up with the same patch name, so no, it's not. Some little weirdness going on in Complete Control, I guess. Hey, Luke. Not much. Just scrubbed launch, the opening jam, and then I'm just going through what's in there. So nothing super exciting. So that's that. We also had a Modwave patch in the batch. Let's see, this guy. This one's a factory patch. I just needed something buzzy and patty with some sparkles. To kind of fill in some empty spaces. So, and then the percussion was session percussion, just like it always is. Run into stacks of effects and so the usual, basically the same one that I had. In fact, exactly the same one that I used last week. So that concludes what's in the jam for tonight. And so you guys are talking about tasty adult beverages. So, you know, I guess I'm not sure. It depends on what you're trying to use Kontakt for, Paul. You know, it's Kontakt is really not an instrument per se, in my opinion. It's hey man with beard, welcome. Um, so if you just wanted a grand piano, then you go into, well, I can show you real quick. Let's go back over to the DAW. We'll go ahead real quick and let's add a MIDI track, and we'll grab in my synths, we'll grab Kontakt 8, drop it in there. And so now I'm looking at Kontakt 8, so that's the newest version. We come down to, oh, let's see, do I even have a grand piano? Because I don't use a lot of grand pianos. Here we go. Grab this guy, and it'll take it a moment. And oh, I got to choose which one I want, which is fine. Let's come all the way up here to the, let's see, click on grandeur, double click there, and it does a thing. And so for most people, I mean, if all you're wanting to do is use the factory patches, or stuff that most developers have developed, you don't really need the full Kontakt necessarily, depending on the pack you're trying to run. But if it's one made by Native Instruments, you really only need the player. You don't necessarily have to have the full version. Where you need the full version is if you're going to do your own development, or if you want to use a non-registered instrument within Kontakt. But it's really, I mean, and if you're doing it within complete control, the user interface is even further simplified. So it's I guess it's in how you use it. The earlier versions, version 7 and version 6, are awful. They really are. And I'm basically, version 8 will play any of the older versions instruments, and I'm slowly converting all of my works in progress that have Kontakt in them to make sure they're all using version 8. Just because it's much easier to get around, and it works better with the controller. Because I've shown before where that whole instrument, that grand piano instrument, is now here. All the controls are right here. Again, it depends on how you're using it, how much trouble it is to deal with. And you can still do that, Paul. You can still do that. I mean, nothing really went away from Kontakt. They changed the presentation a little bit, but all the functionality is still exactly the same. So yeah, it's a matter of getting used to it, I guess. And whatever new things it holds. So let's see. Up next, I wanted to. I made a comment a couple weeks ago that I wanted to clarify, and it was talking about performance. And I commented that that I wanted to make sure that in designing my performances that they're more interactive, that you see me with instruments and something as opposed to just driving a computer. And I said that doesn't work. That to me it doesn't work. And what I meant by that, there are people that do a fantastic job of doing that. And for what they're doing, it really works. It just doesn't work for me as a performer. There are some software instruments and some software composition tools that's the only way it works, is to sit there and do the thing on the screen. So it just, the way I want to perform, I think, had to add a decent sampler instrument to the patch. Oh, so using the samples from the decent sampler instrument, because they're different underlying technologies or underlying structures the way Decent Sampler and Kontakt work. I mean, they're kind of similar, but the way the instruments are structured is a lot different. And quite frankly, both developing an instrument in either one of them, right, at this point is above my pay grade. Maybe, in a few months when I have a lot more time to devote to really digging into music stuff, then I'll get into creating Kontakt or Decent Sampler instruments, because it's something I'd like to be able to do. But just not, I just don't have time right now to do it, to learn it. Oh, I see what you're saying. I gotcha. So you're doing that all within Kontakt, building a rack within Kontakt to do that, or you're building that rack within a DAW, Paul? A Decent Sampler is the most reasonable full-fledged sampler that I've seen to develop for it. David has done a great job with that, really. Oh, so you're doing it in VC. You're making trouble for yourself, Paul. That's all there is to it. You're just making life hard on yourself. And then, like I said, and as has been discussed elsewhere, VCV technically is a DAW too, just a different kind. 2 instruments plays. Gotcha. Oh, well, okay. So doing 2 in Kontakt simultaneously, you have to build a rack. Hey, David. You have to build a rack within Kontakt, and then you can stack and layer different instruments within Kontakt. And I've done it once, like months ago. So again, something after the first of the year. Remind me to do it, but I'll dig into that kind of stuff. Again, as I have more time, and it may not be a regular stream topic. It may be a separate video. Probably actually be the best way to handle that. And of course, there's zillions of videos on YouTube now about how to do that too. But I don't know that I've seen. It's still in there. Everything is still in there. There's a choice to do something akin to a classic display or something like that, and that gets you into that older mode of stacking stuff up in a rack. And I saw it the other day, and now I couldn't tell you where it was now to save my life. Anyway, something I'll dig into for sure after the first of the year, because I want to make more use. That's okay, Paul. No worries. That's one of the things that I'm going to skip around a little bit in my. Actually, no. The next thing in my next thing on the list here, is I'm frustrated because I am becoming woefully behind on all of my goals for this year, and I mean so it's frustrating. It makes me unhappy. I had wanted to be releasing a full album in the next week or two, or actually by now I really had wanted to be releasing an album. That's not happened. Probably not going to happen this year at this point. Gets down to the business closure / retirement plan is taking more time than I had anticipated. Some of it's due to no, I'm going to say how to make hard things easy. See Kontakt. Make a 45. So that's taking more time. Home ownership and the American Nightmare and other familial issues are taking up more of my time than I'd wanted, and comes down to my hating being an adult at this point. I wish I could be a kid and just hang out in the basement and do what I need to do or want to do. So anyway, so I'm just voicing some frustration into the wild. hopefully I can get back on track after sometime in December or January. We'll see what happens. By then, at least the business and retirement stuff needs to be done. It's not should be, needs to be. An adultier adult. Nah, it's overrated. It's like, you know, boats and homes and cars and all that stuff, all that overrated stuff that we're expected to do. You know, we're expected to be adults, and we're expected to buy homes and cars and, you know, maybe boats and trailers, all that other kind of stuff, and you know, spread ourselves too thin in more ways than one. So it's so frustrating, and you know, lots of things that are going on at this point just make it more and more frustrating all the time. So I'm going to launch a little drone thing again in the background, or more or less in the background, so we have some noise. Although I found last week that if I don't have a lot of music going under the talking, that YouTube finishes processing the video a lot faster, which I found very interesting. I guess it's struggling to listen under the speech for the music to search for something in copyright. I don't know. A couple of announcement things going on. First off, Rivik will be back in the coming weeks. We're going to do an opsix deep dive. I would, you know, yes, would love to do that, Luke. You know, yes, I would love to do that. So yeah, we're going to do another one of those marathon sessions sometime, hopefully in September. But September is really dense with stuff at this point on the calendar, so it may be into October. But sometime in the next few weeks, he'll be back. We're going to sit here in the studio, and we're going to tear into the opsix and have one of those a great stream with that. I'm looking forward to that a lot. Also, it is 11 days to Knobcon. Yay. And I am going, as I've said before. So 11 days, I'll be on the road, or I will have arrived in Chicagoland for the big event. So I'm looking forward to that a lot, hanging out with cool people and looking at cool stuff, and trying not to get dragged down into too many rabbit holes to distract me. But that's what the whole place and the whole event is. It's just it's 2.5 days of distraction. But anyway, along with that, some of you may know that I was exposed to COVID last week, middle of last week, and I'm happy to report after a couple of tests today, I am fully negative for COVID, influenza A, and influenza B. So just my usual, ordinary, well-known hack and wheeze sessions that go on. Even so, you know, my plan is that it's you know, COVID is out there, it's not going away. So this just kind of, you know, proves to me that you know, I will be going with the damn mask. Funny story behind these masks. This is one that I actually had made, but I will definitely be going masked, and anytime I'm in a tight group situation or on public transport or anything like that, definitely be wearing the masks. Just, it's going to be an unfortunate reality for us for a while, I'm afraid. So I don't know if the fellow that I was working closely with last week is in the clear yet or not. I need to send him a message in the morning and see how he's doing. I was talking to another client today that I've not seen him in several weeks, not since he badly injured his arm, I guess about 3 or 4 weeks ago now. So he went into the hospital to have his arm fixed, and came out with this latest version of COVID. And he says it's the reports are true. It's like swallowing razor blades. So he's fully mended though and back. Like I said, talked to him this afternoon, and I'm a little worried about him in having gone through this. I hope that it hasn't badly affected his voice. He's a singer in a metal band around here, local heavy metal band, so it may not make a whole lot of difference to his voice. I don't know, but so anyway, we'll find out. I'm hoping to see his band soon, and see how he's done. I got to talk to him again before the end of the week, so I'll see how he's affected with that. He's an interesting fellow. He works, as I said, he's one of my clients, and he had, I guess about a year before me, had the same neck surgery done that I had done, so the same, fusion and all that stuff. So, did I see Asaph is here? Did I miss Asaph coming in the room? Sorry if I did. I'm not seeing him on the stream there. So yes, Paul, Balin Fest was this past weekend. Because I was not sure of my COVID status, I begged off going. Oh, okay. I forget who's who a lot of times. My adult brain. Balin Fest was this past weekend. I had to miss it. I was kind of upset about that. I had to miss a celebration of life for a very good friend of mine. Just basically stuck here in the house. Ended up self-quarantining myself in the house the last half of last week and over the weekend. So anyway, let's see. On to the next. You haven't been since 2010? Jeez, Paul. That's like ages ago. So anyway, so if I'm assuming Ron will have Balin Fest again next year. If you want, I'll come pick you up and drive you up, and we can go. Assuming I'm going. But I try to make it either there or to what's his name from Who Knew? A fellow from the band Who Knew has a party up at his place pretty much annually as well. It's a lot of fun. That I missed last year, unfortunately. So anyway, okay, let's see here. Next up, I need some help of sorts. I'm trying to figure out. I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I'm kind of sort of looking at the idea of a performance companion to the Pro 800, and so I've been looking at various different things, and I had before mentioned maybe the Pro 1 or a wasp or a cat or something like that. And casting about the interwebs is a dangerous thing, but recently I have become basically enamored with this guy. Whoops, I wanted it done that way. Yeah, both in bands was you're right. Jumping back, Ron is like in and out of bands constantly, Poly. Well, this has got to be something. So Jeff, if got one of which hardware, the Monologue or the Poly 12. So I could take the Poly 6. I mean, that would be fun, but it's so heavy. That's the problem. I want this to be, I'm going to be playing it at EMOMs and various other similar events. So I don't have, I don't want to be lugging out something that's 40, 50 pounds. Yeah, I'd love to take a, polybrute of some sort along with me. That'd be a lot of fun. But I've been enamored with this thing. Must be portable, yes. Yeah, Poly 12 would be absurd, but it would be awesome, you know. I so well, and that's one of the things, Luke, that I was thinking about. Pro One, the Behringer Pro One clone, or the Wasp, or the Cat, or maybe even another Pro 800. So you find it goes very quickly on. So and I'm looking at this thing, and on paper, it's on paper it looks pretty cool. In reality, it's the Korg made some weird decisions with this. So like things like so just a quick rundown: 2 oscillators, 1 envelope, 1 LFO. A low pass filter, a 16-step sequencer. It's got presets, which is great for doing performance because you can call things up quickly. And it's got drive on the master, and you can have a mono line input that you can process through the filter. But where it gets weird is that I don't want to say weird, but like the oscillators are kind of cool. They're limited, but they're kind of cool. Because all of the wave shapes except for noise can be shaped, or all of the waveforms can be shaped. For instance, the sawtooth gets mixed with a square. You got wave folding on the triangle wave, and of course pulse. Pulse gets or square wave gets pulse. I honestly, Luke, don't care whether oscillators are analog or digital, at least not modern ones. Modern ones are pretty stable, or digitally controlled analog is pretty good. But I get your point as to the question, because if you've got stuff drifting out of tune on you while you're performing, it's kind of bad. So yeah, it's analog oscillators. I don't think these are even digitally controlled. To be honest, I think they're just straight analog. The envelope is kind of an interesting thing. It's not an ADSR envelope. Go back to the full screen picture. Boom. It's an AD or attack decay or attack release envelope, and then it's got this what I guess the best way to describe it is like an organ, which decouples the envelope from amplitude and allows you to send it to a limited your choice of one of 3 destinations, which are pitch or global pitch, or oscillator 2 pitch, or cutoff, and that's the choices. The LFO's got similar shortcomings. It's like it can only go certain places and only one place at a time. So there's all of these shortcomings, but yet it sounds. It's got a sound. Leads and basses, probably. Because the Pro 800 can handle pads, chords, whatever. All of the paddy, bassy, drony kind of stuff can come out of a Pro 800 all day long. But a Pro 800 can also easily do leads, and that's kind of why one of the thoughts, well, just pick up another pick up another Pro 800 and wire the two together, because that offers the ability of of this interesting bitimbral operation. So I mean, there's all these things that come into it. The thing that's really I think the most interesting part of this synth, and maybe it's what is attracting me to it the most, is the sequencer. Even though it's only 16 steps, it actually has all the usual note stuff, and then it's got a separate lane for glide, and then 4 lanes for modulation, and that's the part of it that I think makes it interesting to me. Overall, if buying one new, it's too expensive. It's $450, and yeah, it's $450 new. So I mean, it's not bad, but it's not economical either. And it's just one of those. I don't really need it, because the reality is, I mean, anything that I could do with the Monologue, I could get the multi-poly to do. I mean, I get the and more. So and Luke, this is primarily a performance tool. So so I don't have, again, rolls back to the earlier comment about my wanting to do performance without relying so much on stuff in the computer, without relying a lot of stuff in the computer. So yeah, I would need keys, or maybe need keys. It would really depend on what the piece required. And that's kind of another part of why I'm going out to Knobcon. I keep waffling back and forth on the concept of doing a modular or semi-modular setup for performance, or going for some performances. I really want flexibility, I guess, is what it gets down to. So anyway, I just I think it's got the capability of being a cool little piece. The reality, David, is I don't need anything. And as far as synths being simple for live, I think that depends a lot on what you're doing. Like when I was gigging in cover bands, I rolled out with a full-on workstation. But that covered so many different needs. It was a very complex beast. Well, that's the thing, Paul. I'm like, I got to get my butt in gear. November 1st is going to come up next week at the rate I'm going. So yeah, maybe some small, flexible, simple, expandable, and powerful and cheap. And where that leads, possibly. Where that leads is down the semi-modular road, I think. I mean, there's a lot that could be done with something something like a Behringer Neutron or Proton and the Pro 800, or something, some little rack like that. And Paul, I can build up a VCV or a Reactor Blocks portable synth in well, it's already built. Sit down on the dining room table. I could roll on that immediately. I could connect the controller to it, and it could be I could connect this controller to it, and do a whole thing. But that's not really what I want to do for performance. You know, they're, and it's me. It's a me thing. You know. Oh heck, I've got sitting over there too. If you're talking about if I would do a VCV specific Linux laptop, I got two sitting over here that would be perfect. Super Gemini. You know, we needed the cheap part. Super Gemini ain't that. And honestly, you probably need two of them. Oh, goodness. I just got all the credit cards paid off, you know? Oh, my. Um, so anyway, and if I were going to do an expensive, you know, multi-layer kind of analogish synth, I would my choices would be um, again, but this gets heavy, you know, big and heavy and bulky, which I'm trying to avoid. But you know, my existing polybrute would go a long distance, and um, you know, we go a long distance, and then you know um, other instruments in that ilk would be like an Ovation Summit, something like that. That I mean, I love the sound of the Summit too, you know. So you know, but again, it's stratospheric pricing that I want to try and avoid, and size that I need to avoid. Um, oh yeah, Seafoam Green. You know. But of course, Roland has a little cheap Go synth in Seafoam Green as well. Um, the problem for me with the boutiques is that they are um, there's they're they're too small, and so you know, with the controls being what they are for a live manipulation, the tiny controls are um, the tiny controls would be problematic, I think. Um, you know, when you're trying to do an ADS, make a fine adjustment on a 10 millimeter long slider, you know, you're going to have difficulty. So I really wouldn't want anything smaller than the Pro 800 over here is about a 2/3 size model of the Prophet 600, and that's about as compact as I would want it to go. Um, yeah, I was gonna say you could do that, Paul. You know, but again, in my case, again, there's the control panel on an Integra is the big jog wheel and some buttons, and that makes for a lot of digging around to do things in a live manipulation. You know, so that's where I'm. Again, it's even Eurorack honestly is awful small a lot of the times. Although a lot of the Erica synths has proper size knobs on it. Yeah, I mean that may end up being the direction. Paul got the Cat and the Wasp, and they sound amazing. They really sound good, and they're inexpensive. Um, and there's you know they're big enough that you can get your fingers on the control. Um, you know, and so it's a you know that may end up being where I land in you know a stack rack of Behringer stuff. Um, you know, I again the idea small, compact, you know, and if I maybe even everything could be controlled from you know the key step 37, not even needed a big controller. I don't know. Depend on how much I want to program the control S. One of the things that I've found that's kind of a um, a an issue, I guess, with the Control S at this point. They've come so long on uh, getting this together. One thing I can't easily. What the heck? Oh, shoot. Excuse me. Let me. Yeah. Inadvertently, it stuck the raw. I left that other graphic in the graphics buffer, and let me make sure it's gone. It is not. So let's. No, it's good now. Should be good now. Although that may come up again. Stand by here for a second while I put some things in a more proper arrangement. I will do. Oh, which one? That one for a second. That'll get the. I think that'll get the buffers cleared up the way I need them to be. I hope. That actually really should not have happened. All right. Anyway, back to that. Somewhere there's an error in my BitFocus Companion logic for the Stream Deck, which is running the whole show. So. Let's see. Let's catch up with chat here. Get the Udo. Get the K2. So, for whatever reason, I'm not enamored with the K2. I don't know why, and yeah, I just don't know why. I'm not. It doesn't do anything for me. And you know, I'm a Korg. I am Mr. Korg. You know, can't wait. Oh wait, can't maths. Oh, okay. For whatever reason, the K2 doesn't do something for me. But again, you know, I'll be looking at stuff at Knobcon or ideas at Knobcon. I'm planning to stop at Sweetwater on the way home on Monday, so they'll have all the Behringer stuff to play with as long as it's in stock, and I can take a look at that. Anyway, you know, this is something I'll continue to struggle through. You know, the Mask 1 does look really, really cool, Luke. It does look like a cool instrument. You know, I don't have the money for it at this point, but it does look, and from what I've heard, sound really nice. If I yeah, David, me too. I'd love a Udo, but yeah, dollars. If Paul, if I were to sneak a DeepMind 12 of any variety out, it would be for me. Although, you know, it's yeah, I mean, it would be that's a neat synth. The DeepMind 12 is pretty neat. Yeah, it would be nice if they did a grab too. All right, I'll work that out. It would, yeah, that mask would really be neat if it'd be nice if they made a module version of it. I don't know if they could. Oh boy. So you know, actually, Paul might want to hook up with Noise Theorem, because Paul is Mr. Emu, and so is Tony, and he was talking. He goes round and round and round about whether or not he's going to keep his Emu rack stuff, and he's also got the what's it, the MP7 command station that he just got reconfigured. But I think he's got a well, I'm not even sure what he's got for sale at this point. But check out Paul. Check out Noise Theorem and see if Tony's actually selling anything, and if it's anything you want. I make connections. Well, and again, he's got Proteus stuff that he's, you know, the MP7 command station is. He had it apart on the. He had it apart on his stream the other day because he was moving ROMs around, and it looks like they took a Proteus 2000 and glued this command station top on it. Actually, kind of neat. And inside, it's exactly the same in that lower layer where the circuit board is and everything. I think Luke likes the thing now that he's got it, doesn't he? Don't you, Luke? It just took you forever to get it. So, all right, next up on the schedule, because we're burning through time here. One of the things that's happening when I'm out in one of the things that's happening when I'm out at Knobcon is I'm picking up a Modwave, and then I will have all four of the 5 Pi Korgs. So I'll have opsix, wave state, multi-poly, and Modwave. And the nice thing is I have them both in hardware and software. And that kind of leads to performance kind of direction as well, where I can do my sound development on the PC, and even some sequencing, and then offload things to the hardware for performance or tracking or whatever. So that's, oh geez. Paul's making jokes again. The question, you know, so the Modwave that I'm getting is already built into one of the Tall Dog cases, and so long-term plan is that all 3 of them will get racked together, and then but the question starts to become, in the meantime, until such time as Rivik and I get the opsix show done, where's it going to go in here? Because, you know, as you know, space here. Space here is at a bit of a premium. You know, let's see, because things are the whole corner here is really pretty tight. You know, and right now the Pi Korgs are here. But I'm not going to be able to, if I try and stack it up too high, it'll start to get too high to work with. And of course the multi-poly is here above the poly brute, you know, big monitor in the corner, all this kind of stuff. I think my plan, a lot of us have a space issue, absolutely, you know, and so what I'd like to do, but don't know, you know, what's going to have to happen to make that happen. I mean, what I'd like to do is leave polybrute and multi-poly where they are, and then move the rack once I attach the Modwave to the other 2, move that to where the monitor is now, and then move the monitor over to where the other stuff, where the Pi Korgs are, I think. But you know, and hey George, the problem with that is it makes it challenging if I've got a second person in here, like at some point, you know, we're going to do the opsix, and then I'm sure we're going to do something with the Modwave, and then we'll do something again with the multi-poly, and so if I've got all the synths where the monitor is now, which is right in front of me, it gets really tight for two of us trying to be working into that corner. So, a lot of, where does stuff go for the time being? Where does it go in the long run? All that kind of stuff. And I know I'm underutilizing the space behind me, but well, so if you bring your opsix SE, we'll put it on. I'll clear off the space behind me, and we'll put it there. I can get a down shot onto that area, but it's actually easier to get a down shot onto the opsix in the rack. I think. Let's see. Let's do this. Push that. The desk is a disaster right now because I've been working on some other stuff. But let's see. If we could, I'm spinning the camera over there. We're passing the audio interface, and so let's see. If I go here, I'll do that for the moment. So over there now, you can get to the desk, and I move some stuff around so you can't really see it. Right now, it's looking sort of at nothing that makes sense because, like I said, I move stuff around. And so I can get some different shots over there. But, SC for playing something already done during the intro. Okay, yeah, we can do that. That'll work. That'll work. Yeah, that'll work. We can do that. Yeah, I got two of these cameras, Jack. But the one of them is kind of underutilized. That's another thing that I'm thinking about doing after Knobcon is 99 times out of 100, this shot is fixed. Occasionally I'll point it down over here or down over there, but the vast majority of the time it's a fixed shot. So I may go back to having just a single camera there and taking this pan tilt zoom camera and putting it somewhere else so that it's got some maneuverability. We'll see. So let's see, back to there, back to that, back where I want it. Boom. So Jeff, I think you should get one of the OBSBot PTZ cameras if you're going to do a PTZ, because the OBSBot stuff is really working well for you in general, and they've got 2 or 3 different tiers of PTZs they're fantastic little cameras. Actually, the tail airs even have HDMI outputs in addition to USB. So here's the deal. No, it's not an optical zoom, but it's a 4K camera. And so if you're streaming at 1080, then you've got a 4x lossless zoom through the digital zoom. And it will look just like, just like a lens. It'll look like optical. You won't lose any resolution at all that way. So that's a thought. Even the little 4K version of the single lens, single direction camera. I can't remember what they call the new one. That's a 4K. It can do a 4x zoom, and then it can move around, automatically follow. Yours does that on your stream. You're doing that now. So, OBSBot, as far as those goes, OBSBot's really, I think they do it better than anybody. And the automatic following in some of the mechanical PTZ cameras is iffy, iffy at best. Paul, the Creative Labs webcams are inexpensive and really sharp. They look really good. That's what I got for Donna. She's got a 4K and a standard full HD. So that'll give her the ability to do some zooming with the 4K one on stuff she needs to zoom in on, and the other one will be just her headshot, which is going to be the standard full HD. I think that's going to work out well for her. I hope it is anyway. So anyway, the next thing I wanted to do, and it looks like I'm only going to have a few minutes to do it, but we'll do it anyway. I wanted to poke around since Modwave is coming. I thought I might have a little bit of a mess about with the Modwave and look at some of the things that make it, I think, different. Yeah, the Meet 2. That's it. They're great little cameras, and you know, depending on what happens with Donna's stuff, I may move her up to those as time goes on. But for her initial stuff, the little creative cams are fine. So last game was cardboard ones. Well, so yeah, I guess the thing is, you know, I am a real proponent of the ATEMs, to be honest with you. And they are exceptionally good. They're easy to program now, as Jeff says, and they're, you know, they're extremely capable, and they've become very reliable. Some of the early ATEMs were terribly unreliable. But I'm running the ATEM Extreme, and basically it offloads all of the production from the computer. So the computer's not trying to do video stuff and audio stuff at the same time. You know, I really and I've pontificated at length about my disdain for OBS, so I'm not going to go back into that. But all of these, all of the effects and things that I have set up, and I can real quick go through a couple of them. You know, I can. It's oops, wrong one. Yeah, that's good. You know, doing stuff like single camera is easy. But these two boxes are, yeah, exactly. You know, it's like if I could switch the show from the dining room if I wanted to. You know, but this two box was insanely easy, and then using, I'm actually using the Stream Deck to do the control. Let me spin. I'm going to spin the camera around a little bit, guys. Actually, let me dig out. No, it's not quite. It's not calibrated. So the way I'm set up here, and this is something that's a little awkward because of having to lean into it, but I've got the Stream Deck here, and let's actually pull that up so you can see it while we're still spinning around. Stream Deck here, ATEM back here. Script. The show is running as a script in Companion, which is controlling everything through the Stream Deck. And so basically I went in all of these different shots that I do, like computer and camera, or computer in this camera. All of these things are loaded into the switcher by Companion on the fly. If I need a new layout, I just design it in Companion, and boom, I can switch it up. So I can do things like, you know, even things like, you know, this, where I've got now, and that whole transition was built into the switch, built into the super source in the ATEM in just a few milliseconds, and fires it in there. And then it handles the overlays for the graphics and all that kind of stuff all in one, you know, very simple, very compact setup. My problem is I keep running out of inputs. I keep coming up with new stuff I want to do with it, and run out of inputs. You know, so that's and this other thing where I do the what I call trippy vision. Yeah, I got all kinds of toys. Can't remember where camera two is pointed, but this trippy vision thing that I do, where the music controls this stuff punching through the key. This is basically when I do that, when I go to that shot, or go to to trippy vision. Basically, I end up shuffling all the layers in the printer in the switcher on the fly and then throwing them up on air. So what was the foreground becomes the midground all of a sudden. So Paul MB Klein has been done for some time, like for about 3 years now. They've been gone. They were purchased by Internet Trains, I think it is. And if you go to the old MB Klein web stuff, it's still website. It's still up and running. It's just it's not done out of Baltimore anymore. They have one person in Baltimore at this point, and he's a good friend of mine. But yeah, they're out of wherever the other place is. So Cockeysville, there was a little train shop up on York Road in Cockeysville, little hobby shop up there. It wasn't just trains. So it could very well be going out. I never really saw anybody in there ever. Anyway, let's real quick. We'll just poke around in the Modwave. Let's see, where am I? Here we go. Boom! Look at that. And that switch, without my hands, was done on the Control S. Yeah, model. I guess you're talking model train shops. We used to have bunches of them around here. Even here in Westminster, we used to have a nice little hobby shop years and years ago. And then that one closed, and there was one in the neighboring town, and it closed and then moved, and that closed. And I don't know of what I would consider a real model train shop in anywhere near the Baltimore, Washington area at this point. Everything is online. We got train shows, one of the biggest train shows in the country is in our region. At least twice a year now. They used to be 4 times a year. So yeah, in that hobby. I've been involved in that hobby both as a pastime and as a profession, off and on for a bunch of years. And I used to work for one of the I used to work for one of the major model railroad manufacturers. Both my wife and I did, and that hobby is moving to very much niche suppliers, and even they are really struggling. A few of those guys are friends of mine, and they're all really struggling. It's a shift in the way people want to pursue their hobbies, I think. And this is not just model trains. We may end up putting Modwave off till next week at the rate we're going. Because we're talking the state of hobbies. Anyway, and it's not just model trains. It's model airplanes and radio control model airplanes and photography and music. Everything is people, younger people who are coming into any of these hobbies, if indeed they even are. Their lives are different than ours are or were, most of us, and so they have a different demand on that hobby, and so it ends up with a lot of people, certainly amateur radio, Jeff. Yeah, that's um, yeah, amateur radio is. We used to have ham fests in this region 4, 5, 6 a year, and I don't know. I think there's one that's about maybe 15 miles or so from me. It happens once a year. I think that one's still going. We lost our music store in town. All that so I have to go down to almost into DC. With Oh, you were first licensed, so you're an N something or another. Um, I didn't know you were a ham, Jeff. Um, and even most of the hams that I know aren't really active anymore. Um, they're the what they were using it for has transitioned off to some other form of life or some other form of communication. I know one guy. He was auto patching all the time. Now it's all cell phone. And with the way cell phones work, you can use them all over the world. When I went to Iceland, I didn't have to do anything to use the phone there. I just turned it on. It hooked up and I worked. So it's. But a lot of these niche hobbies, people, and I'm going to include photography and music and trains and planes and amateur radio, all of this stuff. People's time is, yeah, you just turn the thing on. I've already got my phone is already running dual eSIMs. I think I could I can carry like a total of 6 eSIMs and switch between them at will. It's. I used to be into CB a lot. Yeah, I had all that going on, but so all these hobbies require something that people don't have or necessarily want to expend anymore, and that's time. One of the things that I've noticed in model trains is people want to go to wherever, order the thing, whatever it is, and put it on the track and have it run. And they don't want to take they want to they need a building, so they don't want a lot of them. They don't want to take the time to build the building, so they buy pre-builts and stick them on the railroad. And to me, and we can go down. I can go down a model railroading thing all day long, which is not what we're here for. But it's instant gratification. But here's another thing: what I've noticed specifically in model trains is that people's interests in what they do with the hobby seems to change, or seems to be changing. When I was young, model railroading was more about model building and modeling, and now people are wanting to be able to simulate, myself included, are wanting to be able to simulate real railroad operations in their basement, and so they're not as interested necessarily in super detail. Excuse me. Good night, Luke. I'm gonna pack it in a couple of minutes. So they're not necessarily as interested in the super detail or the joy of building the kit or any of that kind of thing. They want something that they can put together relatively quickly, have it look decent, but they want to be able to mimic railroad operations. And I get that. That's a lot of fun. It really is. And that's my own interest in model trains has shifted somewhat in that direction. My interest has also shifted into little tiny portable layouts that I can move around. And hopefully I've been working on one that I basically had to stop on because there's time. you know, hopefully I'll get back to that and I can fire up the other channel again. But you know, it gets down to time. I don't have time to take pictures anymore. You know, so my photography languishes. I've got beautiful cameras. They're sitting in the camera bag over here. And now, you know, most of the time, I'll just grab a snapshot with the iPhone. You know, and you know, it's sad, but that seems to be the way it is. And I think in a lot of cases, or in many cases, the music business is kind of going that way too. 3-foot gargoyles. That'll be interesting. You really create train crossing scenes. Oh, Paul, you're gonna hang out with Uncle Gomez. I know how that goes. Or with Gomez and Uncle whoever. So anyway, I guess we're not going to get to Modwave much tonight. Sorry, I'm sorry about that, folks. Everyone's going to go hit the thumbs down button and Fester, Uncle Fester. That's it. You can tell how much of that I actually watched. Tablets for smokestacks. Oh, geez. Yeah, and so yeah, we derail exactly twice. Yeah, and now so even that is oh, my other computer wants to do a reboot. You know, even that's the little smoke tablets are gone. They're now little ampules of some sort of smoke fluid, and it comes in different smells. You know, so you can get it if you've got a smoke unit in a diesel engine, you can put diesel smell stuff in it. If you've got smoke in a steam, you can put coal smoke smell out of it, or oil if it's an oil-fired steam engine. It's ridiculous. You know, it's ridiculous, and you know. When Donna and I worked for the train company back in the warehouse, there were 55-gallon drums of this stuff. You know, that would make your railroading a lot more relaxed. That's for sure. So anyway, it's winding up towards the end of time. I'm going to play out and call it a night. Thank you everyone for coming. This has been a lot of fun. I wanted to do. Okay, so yeah, we'll get back to that. So yeah, that's where I see a lot of people doing a lot of cool stuff. Hardware is, you know, although if you talk to certain people, they get all bent out of shape about people doing 3D printing and CD cutting and laser cutting in their basement, or CNC cutting in their basement. You know, so. The small manufacturers get all bent out of shape about people stealing their work and blah blah blah. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing for another day. Thank you everybody for coming. I do appreciate it. Jeff, we'll look for you back next week. I will be back next week, and we'll maybe be a little more productive next time. So again, thanks a lot, everybody. We will see you all soon.